It's always special when you have a good crossover. There's just something about taking two beloved and marginally similar franchises and pushing them together to create something new. For every New Girl Meets Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where both shows had amazing standout episodes, we get a Mask and Ace Ventura crossover where neither are actually voiced by Jim Carrey. For every Sam and Dean Winchester fighting a murderous ghost with Mystery Inc., we get a lazy Family Guy Simpsons crossover.
Hey, knock it off! There's a kid back there!
I'm in danger!
For every Alien vs. Predator, we get an Alien vs. Predator 2. And the world of comic books is no stranger to off-the-wall crossovers either. Recently, Boom Studios published two of my favorite runs of the last few years, and they've both been crossovers. One of them is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Rangers just happened to go to New York City, and Tommy, the Green Ranger, just started to work with Shredder. The team gets into the typical crossover fights where both sides are just equally as powerful as the other before they team up to go fight on the villains who have already also teamed up. And it gives us the one thing we've kind of always wanted since we were kids, to see the Turtles in their own Power Ranger suits. On a side note, love that Leo and Raphael got the blue and red suits, and they gave Donnie the black suit and Mikey the yellow suit because, they're kind of close enough. And then they just decided to give April the pink suit because, girl. But all that's beside the point because, bro, the Green Ranger Shredder is the toy 5-year-old me would have actually killed for. But the other comic that sent me down this fantastic rabbit hole that I needed to share with you all is Godzilla vs. the Power Rangers. Long story short, Rita Repulsa finds a device that lets her find a reality without the Power Rangers that she can conquer, only for her to find out that it's already being attacked by all the other giant monsters, kaiju, from the Godzilla canon. Which then leads the Rangers to follow into that reality and go one-on-one with Godzilla and the Dinozord. And this is what I love about crazy collaborations like this. It's goofy, it's crazy, it's off the walls, but it's just fun. It's taking the king of monsters and throwing him at whatever license holder would let him fight whatever. And this isn't anything new. Godzilla's actually been crossing over fighting whatever since the very beginning. So without further ado, let's jump into the awesome history of Godzilla crossovers. Originally created in 1954, Godzilla was an allegorical horror film. He was a giant radioactive monster created by the Americans that brought devastation to Japan. And the people could not just fight back, but they could actually defeat that threat. And that was exactly what the people of Japan needed to hear just 10 years after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The film was massively successful and was given a sequel, Godzilla Raids Again, which follows the Godzilla that is most known today. As tensions between the US and Japan quickly settled since the new threat was the USSR and communism spreading throughout Asia, so too did Godzilla start turning into more of a protagonist during the next 36 films. Godzilla fights the Angurius, humanity stops Godzilla from destroying more of the country, and all is right in the world. Hey IDW, I know you guys are totally watching, just saying. If you guys need a character to focus on for your eventual Godzilla vs. TMNT crossover, Angurius is right there. This guy. Anyways, back to the video. And starting with Godzilla's third ever appearance starts the long list of crossovers. King Kong vs. Godzilla. They fight a few times, Kong throws boulders, Godzilla throws his atomic breath, they fight some more, and King Kong walks away victorious. Then with the next film, Godzilla crosses over with one of Toho's other kaiju which sets a precedent here on out. Mothra. He fights Mothra, he eventually befriends Mothra, and it's kind of cute, and at this point the series is firmly removed from the dark cautionary tale of the original. And by the time he fights King Ghidorah, he's wholeheartedly the good guy, and the series is now just a fun, campy watch. And for those of you keeping score at home, that's just the first 6 films of the Godzilla franchise. And the 7th film could have been the greatest piece of cinema ever created. Batman vs. Godzilla. Set to be released in 1966, just after the first season of ABC's television series starring Adam West and Burt Ward, this incarnation of the Caped Crusader almost had a run-in with the King of Monsters. Little is actually known about the potential film, but 2 treatments were actually created for it. But an unknown American writer's concept of the film did survive thanks to the efforts of the University of Wyoming. And no matter how weird you think it is, I promise you, it's weirder.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
So, Commissioner Gordon and his daughter Barbara are on vacation in Japan, but an evil Dr. Klaus Finster claims that he has a device that can control the weather and it's threatening Japan. But as it turns out, the evil doctor isn't controlling the weather, he's controlling Godzilla. Then, Batman and Robin fight one of the evil doctor's henchmen, who is actually an android samurai, and Godzilla is unleashed to destroy Japan. And instead of actually dealing with the threat of Godzilla, Batman and Robin apparently just decide to wait and take in the sights, I guess? But surprise! More android samurai! and they finally decide to do something about this, hop in a taxi, and it's actually a torture chamber that's actually filled with toxic gas. I'm just saying, 1-star review, dude, no tip, worst service ever. But Batgirl, who they don't actually know is Commissioner Gordon's daughter yet, saves them. They finally defeat Dr. Finster, who falls to his death, and they can finally focus on Godzilla. So they decide to create a giant machine that creates a mating call. And how do I put this for a polite audience? Godzilla is so enamored and is just too distracted to fight. Then Batman puts a giant bomb on his back and blows Godzilla into space. Oh, and somewhere in this film, Bruce Lee was going to cameo as himself. I'm frankly shocked we never got this masterpiece, to be honest. Unfortunately, from here on out, all the crossovers within the canon Godzilla films are done, until at least the Godzilla vs. Kong in 2021. Unless you include the nod to the very unlike Zilla from the American 1998 film that gets absolutely wrecked by Godzilla and Godzilla Final Wars, just in case you guys ever wondered how Toho felt about our American remake. But boy oh boy, at this point Godzilla has been fully solidified as a pop cultural phenomenon, and his crossovers would keep on coming. Marvel Comics got the right to publish the Godzilla stories in 1977 and produced a 24-issue run where Godzilla has just always been in Earth 616. S.H.I.E.L.D. tracks him across the US, and with the help of a newly introduced scientist, Dr. Takaguchi, while Godzilla fights all the nods to all the other Toho kaiju that Marvel didn't get the rights to use. This all builds up to Godzilla making his way to New York City, where he fights the Fantastic Four and the Avengers. Spider-Man's also there, but very understandably decides that he's not going to do anything against an atomic monster the size of a skyscraper, which is probably for the best because Godzilla just leaves. This wasn't just a standalone storyline either. The event is occasionally referenced by the heroes who fought Godzilla. Dr. Takaguchi is now a mainstay in Marvel Comics, and the helicarrier that we know it today was actually made to fight Godzilla. Godzilla had an animated series by Hanna-Barbera in the late 70s called the Godzilla Power Hour. It didn't really cross over like most of the Hanna-Barbera properties, but Godzilla's daughter, who I guess is now canon, makes an appearance in Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. But more interestingly enough, the footage was actually used by Cartoon Network later on for stingers, like the one for Toon FM's Weather Reporter, and the crossover with NBA All-Star Slam where Godzilla was interviewed by Shaq.
Nice to meet you, Shaq. I'm your biggest fan.
Which isn't the only time Godzilla crosses paths with an NBA superstar, and this segues us perfectly into possibly the most bizarrely perfect crossover ever. Back in 1992, Nike ran an ad where Charles Barkley played basketball against Godzilla. Industrial Light and Magic had created a brand new suit that now features animatronic facial movements, and then Toho would eventually use that for the rest of the suit motion era of Godzilla, and the set pieces in the background were actually left over from Ghostbusters 2. Fun enough, right? It still loads better than the eventual Taco Bell commercial with the American Godzilla, but it gets better, because Dark Horse created a one-issue comic book run of the entire thing. Very short story short, Barkley accidentally wishes himself to be taller and goes one-on-one with the King of Monsters himself in a game of basketball. And I just love how the entire time Godzilla's just there. He's not causing trouble, he's not challenging Charles Barkley to anything. The dude just comes up, dunks on the oversized lizard to the point that he leaves in shame, and he has to go work alone on his game on Monster Island. But for the world of video games, Godzilla crosses over with other Japanese pop cultural icons Gundam, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider for the Japanese exclusive Battle Soccer and Battle Baseball for the NES. But that's surprisingly it for video game crossovers until at least the 2010s, when game devs learned that they can make a killing off of licensed content. Around the time of the Godzilla vs. Kong film, both Call of Duty Warzone and PUBG Mobile had whole events, both of which gave you Godzilla skins, and Fall Guys also added them to the shop, with Mechagodzilla being added to the Season 2 Battle Pass. And coming up soon, Godzilla is actually going to make his way over to Shin Kamen Rider Rumble, and there's still all those rumors that he'll show up in multiverses, but at this point, nah, I'll believe it when the game actually comes back. Shy of that, I'm pretty sure I missed a good handful of stage plays that ran only in Japan where he would cross over with Ultraman and the like, and there's a good number of cross promotions where it's just a product line, like Hello Kitty, Magic the Gathering, and Evangelion, and there's a whole bunch more that probably flew underneath my radar. Oh, and King Ghidorah also appears in Courage the Cowardly Dog a few times. I think that counts, right? Which leads us to where Godzilla can cross over next. My money is still on a TMNT vs. Godzilla crossover by IDW Comics, but for the Legendary Pictures Godzilla, I have an extremely unlikely but technically possible canon theory. Hear me out on this. So, Godzilla has crossed paths with the Power Rangers, who have crossed paths many times with the Turtles. The Turtles are directly connected to Daredevil's origin story with Marvel. The Power Rangers are directly connected to the Super Sentai Spider-Man TV series from the late 70s, who in turn is directly connected to the rest of the Spider-Verse in Marvel. Godzilla is also still very much connected to the Marvel Comics 616 universe. This is all very solid canon. And by the transitive law of crossovers, there's also another weird connection we can make with the Marvel timeline. Conan the Barbarian. Marvel has been writing Conan stories since the 70s, and nearly all of his stories are now canon within Earth 616. But from there, Conan is also deeply connected into the Lovecraftian mythos, since Conan's original author Robert Howard and H.P. Lovecraft were colleagues and let their works cross over all the time. So, what I'm getting at is, bring Godzilla back to his horror roots. Give him all the giant monsters to fight if you turn all of the origins of the kaiju into being essentially the eldritch abominations from deep within the earth and outer space. Cthulhu actually enters the public domain at the start of 2024, so a Godzilla vs. Cthulhu film would be a far better use of a popular public domain character than the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey film. That's probably never going to happen though. Well, maybe with the Godzilla x Kong The New Empire. Yeah, no, it's definitely not safe for a tentpole film franchise. But yeah, if there was any crossovers that I left out, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you liked today's video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more weekly content on comic books and nerd stuff. I've been Eric, and you've been awesome.